And you know, I also enjoy my music. I think it's kind of secondary to television for me, but more so, it's like a journal. I write about things in my life, really, or things that I see around me, or things that I've experienced. I'm sure as you do. What do you usually write about?
The same thing. I write about what I'm feeling at the time, or I'll write about an experience that happened. Sometimes I'll make up an experience. It really depends. I wanted to ask you, what risk would you like to take, musically, performing-wise, TV-wise, that you would like to try and explore?
You know, there's a few things I've always wanted to do. And one of them being with television. I've always wanted to do, and it may sound a little corny, but I've always wanted to do a show on proposals.
Oh!
I think that would be like really fun, but it's sort of complicated because, you know, keeping a secret from the one being, you know, from the girl, then the guy, and then how do you set it all up, and, you know, it's a little complicated, but hopefully someday I'll get to do it. That's something I've always wanted to do, is a show on proposals, because I feel like, you know, we can bring out, like, for example, we can bring out the guy, we could tell his story, we could say, hey, where did you guys meet, you know, why
like a reality show kind of.
Right, and I'll say, why is she the one, why are you here today, why do you want to propose to her, you know, what makes her so special that you want to marry this girl, and then bring out the girl and say, hey, you don't know why you're here, but, you know, he has secrets to tell you.
Very nice.
And then, you know, he
kind of Ricky Lake-ish.
Kind of, yeah. So he tells, you know, then he proposes to her, and then we ask her how she feels, and we see it. I mean, just seeing that.
That moment.
That moment, and having it on tape would be like
priceless.
Amazing. Yeah, like priceless. So
and it
that's
would be something good for them to look back on, too.
Absolutely. And that's something like, you know, like, that you can't fake. You can't fake that, because that's, you know what I mean? So that's something I've always wanted to do,
TV.
television-wise. Musically, I feel like I could do a lot of different things musically. I just feel like I don't have enough time in the studio ever. You know what I mean?
Plus you work full-time. It's hard.
It's like, when you do one song, it's like, okay, I did that song, and then, you know, do you ever get to do, like, every genre you want to do, every type of song you wanted to do? And you feel like you're balancing, like, okay, I want to do R&B, I want to do rockish, and, you know, I want to write about, because I like to do fun stuff too, so, but I would say most of my songs aren't fun, but.
What genre do you feel you excel in the most, and what genre of music do you like to sing the most? Like R&B, pop, rock?
You know, surprisingly, I think my rock songs come out the best. Like the stuff with the guitars, and, you know, one of my favorite songs is Discouraged, which I've sang, and you've heard a million times, I'm sure. And, you know, that's got guitar riffs and stuff.
It's got a poppy sound, too, though, kind of, to it.
Yeah.
Poppy rock.
I mean, it's not like hardcore rock, but, I mean, it's got that edge to it.
Yeah,
it's not exactly like bubblegum. It's got
and
the,
sugar plums and lollipops.
Yeah, it's got the rock to it, so like, you know.
Hey.
So I like stuff like that, or, you know, I like that sound. But I've always wanted to do like some hardcore R&B. Like, I dabbled in it a little bit. I did a song called We Could Go Now, and then I did a song called Shorty No, which I think you heard.
And then Feeling Math Live.
Yeah, and that's almost like borderline pop, like
pop
a little
R&B.
bit R&B. So I've done a little bit, but I'd like to do some show that this is something I can really do, like some R&B, like with a heavy beat, like something like Usher or Justin Timberlake, something like, you know, or John B or something like that. But I'd really need time to like really craft it, you know. It's tough when you're going in the studio, guys. Like, you have like a day to record, and you're like have it written out before, and you're sort of putting it together. It's tough when you're not there, like you know, like the stars that we know, like Lady Gaga and all that. They get to go in the studio every day.
Yeah, that's their life.
That's their life. So they have a different
they have more time
experience.
To perfect.
Yeah, they have more time to perfect. They can actually sit down and work on a song for a week and really work on it. Like, you know, I have to go in, and it's like my one shot is my one shot. So I don't know if it's the same for you. What's your recording process?
Well, I haven't. Well, let's see. When I record, usually I have like plenty of time. I mean, obviously there's times when I have time constraints, when time is limited, but usually I have a lot of time. So, you know, I can redo something for as many times as I want until I feel comfortable, which I'm thankful for. And I love when you can, like, when you go to the real studio and you can hear it back, and I love it. It's so much fun. It gives me an adrenaline rush. I love it.
Is there a particular song that you've written that you really thought was it?
I really love, to be honest, I don't mean to sound like I'm feeling myself too much, but I really love all my songs, like wholeheartedly. Like, but I admit, there's been times when I've written a song or like I've written a poem or something and I'm like, oh, that sucks. But something inside of me says, keep going, just finish it, just finish it. And then I finish it, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. But then later on, like, I'll recite it to myself or sing it or hear it, and I'm like, ooh, like it's awesome, you know what I mean?
And so, sometimes the most simple things, like I wrote a song when I was like 7, and I recorded it on my CD. It's called True, and it doesn't constitute much. It's just like, I don't know if you remember it, but it's like, oh, yeah. You're very pretty.
Oh, yeah.
You're very nice. It's so simple. I mean, there's like not anything to it, but, and it's when I heard the song, I'll be honest, it wasn't my favorite song. It's called True. It's on my CD. It's on Amazon too. But it wasn't my favorite song, and it took a while for my own song that I recorded and put on my album to grow on me. And now when I hear it, it's one of my favorites. Which is weird.
But that's the beauty of it. That's beautiful.
And music is like that. Like, you can love a song one day and then not like it, or not like it, and then all of a sudden it has a different meaning to you, or it grows on you or something. When I recorded the album, I remember a friend of mine called me, and this was back in 2008 when I recorded the album, and she said she liked the album, but she didn't like that song, True. And I was like, you know what, I'm not really crazy about that song either. And it's funny because I called the album that, but not really because of the song, more because of what the meaning behind the word true is, because of true talk and blah, blah. I feel like I'm going on, but
I'm sure the CD was, everything you said was true to your heart in the
CD. So, but then I said, you know, I wrote this when this was like the first song I ever wrote. I was like 7 years old, and I was like, I'm going to record it anyways. And I took a chance, and I wasn't crazy about it. But then it really grew on me after a while. So I feel like, okay, maybe people will hear it and not really be crazy about it, but maybe if they hit the replay button a few times, maybe they'll be like, oh, that's not, you know, that's kind of growing on me. So some stuff is like that.
Right, and I noticed even like, when you create a song yourself, it's like you learn another meaning about the song when you listen to it, like another, like maybe like the 10th time you hear it, you come up with like a whole other meaning to the song, or you're like, oh my God, that was genius.
And if you go back sometimes after a long time and listen to one of your tracks, you'll hear something.
The growth.
Yeah, you'll hear like, you'll forget. You're like, at the time, I didn't think that was that great, but now that I listen to it, that's not bad. It's like when you watch one of your videos or something, you're like, at the time you think, wow, that's not I didn't do a great job on that show or something. Then you look back and you're like, that's not as bad as I envisioned or thought it was.
Right, it's not as bad as it felt.
As it felt at the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've done that too, and I'll be like, this is a good song. Why did I not like this at the time?
Don't you be feeling like, you know, I'm proud of myself?
Yeah, but sometimes you have to let that time pass.
Yeah.
And, you know, for you to go back to it. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Me and you can talk all day, so
All day.
we've got to move on.